Hi, and welcome to another edition of Why Economics Matters. My name is Bob. This episode is going to be about what everybody's talking about, which is the Israel-U.S.-Iran war. Slowly coming up on its second week here. Saturday will mark the second week that this hostilities has been going on. Plenty of commentary out there and opinions about the war itself. I feel probably you've watched me long enough that you know how I feel about this war. It was a war of choice, absolutely ill thought out, or maybe that was the point. Again, I more and more start looking at these things as, like, people keep saying, oh, they're, and me included, this goes back to Biden, this includes Trump, that these people just don't think it through, in that Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed, and it's going to cause all this global chaos, and we're bombing Iran into the ground with this idea that we're bringing democracy to Iran. Do you really think that's the goal here, or even that the goal is to bring Iranian oil? If you want to be cynical, like, we're going to take over Iranian oil like we did in Venezuela. More and more I'm coming to the conclusion that the breakage is the point. In computers, we call it, when they talk about bugs, it's not a bug, it's a feature. A bug is to say that it was an accident, that somehow they missed it or whatever. In programming, they say it's a feature, not a bug. Basically, it's a way of just saying, accept it. The breakage is the point, I think, in this whole thing, in that they just want to beat Iran into the ground. And I think what they're finding, and this is what the bulk of this episode is going to be about, is what potentially could happen here. And I think we got a glimpse of that. I put a Facebook post out last Sunday, quite animated, because I've seen this action multiple times before. The futures market went absolutely apeshit Sunday night. We saw West Texas Intermediate oil, which is kind of the standard of all oil on planet Earth. All oil is kind of priced off of West Texas Intermediate, or WTI. RYOB gasoline futures jumped. If I remember correctly, I thought I saw a print somewhere around 380, which would pencil out, again, that would be the wholesale cost of gasoline. Add on top of that profit margin, state, local, federal taxes, that would have penciled out to most places having a $4.50 gasoline price within a week or so. Like I said, oil, the West Texas Intermediate oil jumped to 120, Brent went to 130, Dow was down 1,300 at one point. And what did I write in that Facebook post? I said, if they don't do something, if Trump doesn't hit the ground on Monday morning before the markets open and lie through his teeth, or mean it, I don't care which of course he absolutely did. He got in there and said, no, we're closer to the end than the beginning. He kept saying we're mostly finished. They kept talking about all this, there's no more targets to bomb, leading everybody to believe that this could be winding down. So we could be closer to like the 12-day war, where even though the escalation of this one is nothing near the 12-day war, we are completely and utterly destroying any ability of Iran to ever recover. So this idea of we're going to have regime change, which has so thus far failed, because, again, and I'm not going to say it because I keep saying it, that they don't understand. I mean, fucking of course they understand. They have some of the best intelligence on planet Earth. So there's no possible way that they don't understand the consequences of what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose, and they just don't give a shit because they're insulated from it. They have made a decision, they being Israel and the United States, and again, we're being led by these Zionists who have this just absolute hard-on to want to bring about this big change in the Middle East. We're going to face the consequences. So I'm 5 minutes in, so the real point of this is not to hear my commentary, because there's better commentary on that front as to like why we're doing certain things. But the reality is, for all intents and purposes, the Straits of Hormuz is closed. Pretty much every major oil producing nation in those regions have either completely shut down their gas and oil production, because number one, there's no place for it to go. So, all of their above ground storage is now 100% within range of anything Iran's doing. They've proven multiple times now. So Israel came in and bombed very spectacularly. I forget what the name of the refinery is, just outside of Baghdad. There's black rain raining down on the civilians of Baghdad. Oil is evidently pouring through the streets because, again, they ruptured the storage tanks. So they set the precedent. Oil infrastructure is on the table now. So what did they do? They responded back by hitting the storage and refinery at Haifa in Israel. They hit one in Bahrain. Israel is said to have hit a desalinization plant in Iran. Iran retaliated by hitting one, I want to say, in one of the other Gulf states. I don't know if it was UAE. So they're proving that they, number one, they aren't just lobbing missiles anymore. They have very good intelligence on where these things are and how to hit them. Probably with help from Russia, likely, probably guaranteed with help from Russia, possibly from China. What does this mean for us? What we saw in the futures market last Sunday is where this is going if this doesn't end. And again, we're coming up on another weekend. If the Straits of Hormuz is still closed come Friday, and it's nothing more than rhetoric, because that works once, that might work twice. If they really make people believe that yes, we are looking to get on an off ramp, that might work a second time, but I don't think so. I think this weekend, if the straits are still closed, if the rhetoric is we're looking to end this, but at the same time they're ratcheting, that's what the blowing up of those refineries and outside of Baghdad represents, is an absolute escalation. That is not looking for an off ramp. What does that mean? $120 oil is going to pencil out to about $4.50 gasoline eventually. There's a lag time on all of this. I can guarantee you right now, gasoline will probably hit. I'm here in New Mexico. Before all of this craziness started, we were paying as low as $2.25 a gallon pretty regularly. We get some spikes up to $2.50, and we had a few spikes below $2.20. I just passed that back in Alamo there, $3.54. That's at $90 oil. And that's not even at $90 oil. Again, you got a lag effect. So that was based off of when oil hit 85, 83, 84, 85. So there's about a 5 to 10 day lag in how these prices work. $120 oil is probably close to $5 gasoline for somebody in my area, which we have incredibly low gas prices. A place in California, you're going to be looking at $7.50. Place like Ohio, where I just came from, which is slightly higher than where I'm at now, you'll be looking at easily $4.75, $5 by the end of next week. I think over $4 is already baked in. I mean, if nothing else, if they were able to end everything right now, just what's in the pipeline already, you're already going to be looking at well over $4 gasoline. Which again, there might be some people who'd be like, "Oh, I'm willing to pay the price for that," but all of this stuff is interconnected. Gasoline prices feed right into literally everything in your life. So not only now are you going to be paying, let's say you have the average Ford F-150 truck, you're going to be paying an extra $20 a fill up. You fill up 4 or 5 times a month. That's not an insignificant amount of money. And it's an incredible amount of money for people who don't have a lot of disposable income. This is directly going to feed in, and again, to the markets. Like I said, during the worst of that panic on Sunday, we were down 1,300 points. How far are we down this week? 1,300 points. I bet you if I go and pencil it out, it's almost exact. So all they did was they're slow rolling the pain in, as opposed to having these big dramatic shocks like I reacted to on Sunday. We're here anyways. We're at 90. I just looked, $93, $94 West Texas Intermediate. Dow has slowly been bleeding off all week. We had maybe one green day and then a couple 300-point down days. I bet you if I pencil it out at the end of the week, we're going to be down over 1,300 points. That's on top of the fact that the week before we were down 5-6% in the past month on the markets, which again, you might be of the opinion that this is so much bigger than just markets and whatnot. We're going to see whether you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, because there is real pain coming here if this continues. Once the markets start to roll, you can't stop it. There is so much bearish sentiment out there before this even started that we were sitting on a knife's edge. There was a huge blow up in some of the private equity markets, which always seems to happen right before, right after something big happens. I'm sorry, the bad thing happens first in the economics, and then they cover it up by I don't know, blowing up Iran, or 9/11, or pandemics, or I can just go on and on and on. We won't get into the conspiracy. So what do? You got money in your 401k. You're now at a weird point because you've already lost quite a bit. Do you sell now? And then take that loss? Do you double down and buy in? I can only tell you what I've been doing, and granted, this only works when you're ahead of the curve, which is, like, again, been putting these videos out trying to warn people. I've been buying all the way down. So your best course of action from here, find something in your portfolio that is profitable. Maybe something you're not highly convicted about, and start slowly selling it out. Take your profits now on those types of investments. Get some cash, get it on the sidelines, and then slowly, don't try to catch a falling knife, which means I'm going to wait, and I'm going to find that perfect opportunity. I'm going to catch the knife. More times than not, you're just going to grab the sharp end of the knife and you're going to cut yourself up, which means in financial terms, you're going to wait either too long and things are going to rebound, or you're going to get in too early and you are going to lose a lot of money. Or you're going to panic at the bottom and sell everything, and then of course that's the absolute worst time to be selling. Buy all the way down. It is hard. Even as much as I know about the market, I keep falling for the same things. I almost pay attention too much, and again, I get this feeling that somehow I can catch the knife because I have caught a lot of knives. That doesn't mean I'm somehow immune to it, and I've gotten caught multiple times trying to either time the market at the right time. All I can tell you is if this continues, the market is going to start to collapse. Instead of what always happens to people who are normal people, they wait. Their financial advisors keep saying, wait, don't sell. And then at the bottom, people panic and say, fuck this shit, I'm selling out. And then, of course, that's when the markets explode back up, because all the rich people have been sitting waiting at the bottom, because they actually are good at catching knives, because they do have the knowledge, and they have all the computer programs and all the people and the manipulations. They know where the bottoms are, and they just buy at the bottom because they know everybody's ultimately going to panic. This could be a buying opportunity of epic proportions. I've learned the hard way that when stuff like this happens, and I am heartbroken for the people of Iran. I am not one of these people, I just cannot get behind these people who are just, yeah, on one hand, I could say, you know, I'm in favor of what we're doing in Iran. I'm not. I'm just talking as if I'm somebody else. Iran is this, Iran is that, but the gleefulness with which it's being done, in the absolute horror in which it's being done. We keep saying we're trying to liberate these people, and we're blowing up freaking refineries right near major cities. Again, they're like black rain is raining down on these people. I mean, the health consequences. There's children, there's women, there's old people there that have nothing to do with anything, and they are targeting civilians. 160 school children, not just school children. And again, they keep saying this was somehow an accident. I think bullshit. These were the children of the generals of the IRGC. These are like the highest level military people in Iran. This was a school where all of their children went to. It was targeted on purpose because Israel is just that evil sometimes. That was a signal. That was just to say, basically, we're going to kill your children. And they're trying to demoralize them. We kill their supreme leader. That'd be basically the equivalent of somebody taking out the Pope. It's not like taking a president out. It's not like taking Maduro out. You just basically killed the Pope. You really think that was going to help? What we're going to be facing here, I fear, is that Trump is going to say, I want to get on the off-ramp and de-escalate. And we have done so much so fast to them that they feel that this is existential and that they are not going to go for the off-ramp. And Iran, unfortunately, tragically, has proven that they don't care about their civilian population. Israel has proven, unfortunately and tragically, that they have no qualms whatsoever about killing civilian populations as a means to an end. This is the strategy we used in World War II against Japan, where they just weren't going to quit. We kept bombing all of their military installations. We kept bombing anything to do with their production, and they still didn't quit until we exploded 2 atomic bombs over basically general population centers and killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Had nothing to do with the war. We were firebombing Kobe, not military installations, civilian populations. Israel's proven that they will do that without any qualms. And unfortunately, Iran has proven that they will absorb that, as proven by their reticence to quit against Iraq and the Iran-Iraq war in the 80s. Iran lost 500,000 people or more. There's always, that's how they use this as a way to justify it. Is they'll strap, guns to 15-year-olds and send them across minefields or whatever the bullshit propaganda is on that. But there is no doubt whatsoever that Iran will fight to the last person. I don't know where that leaves us. If Iran thinks this is existential, they still have proven that they have plenty of accurate ICBM missiles. The opening rounds of this conflict saw that Iran blinded the United States and Israel by taking out multiple radar installations. Obviously, they didn't think that Iran had that type of capability, or they would have, I don't know, protected them better. These are billion-dollar installations. Iran has now proven that they can, with fairly, I wouldn't say with complete impunity, but with fairly large impunity, hit wherever they want to in the Middle East. That includes places like Cyprus, Israel, the entirety of it, almost the entirety of Saudi Arabia, and every country closer in UAE, Dubai, Kuwait, Straits of Hormuz, their little secret, not so secret escape hatch that they built across the Arabian Peninsula to bypass the Straits of Hormuz. You don't think that Iran can just send a couple of drones and land it on the pipeline somewhere and blow it to hell. My fear is that Iran has had enough. They don't give a shit anymore, and they don't care about their civilian population. We're going to keep trying to pound them into the ground. Look at a map. We have hit all kinds of areas on the southern, western, eastern parts of Iran. There's been almost no hits in the north. And my guess is, and I've done some research that shows that chances are that's probably where the bulk of their ICBM rockets, missiles are probably left. And we can't get in there because it is mountainous. And my guess is that's probably where they concentrated a lot of their anti-aircraft batteries. If Iran decides that they just want to keep sending missiles into all these different places, it's going to keep happening, and the world economy is going to start to implode, and they will keep doing it, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can carpet bomb Baghdad. I mean, they've proven it. They've gone into Gaza City and literally leveled Gaza City to the fucking ground, if you've not seen the pictures of it. They could do that to Baghdad, there's no doubt. They are doing it probably right now, just like they did in Syria, just like they did in all these places. Again, the chaos, the destruction is the point. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Unfortunately for us in this case, I think Russia has been sending rockets and technology and targeting information to Iran. Probably China has, because China's in a much more precarious position, but they're completely dependent on Iranian oil, Middle East oil. So my point in all of this is that this is circling out of control. I think it's already circled out of control. We're so devoid of reality in this country that our press is so controlled by forces outside of the United States that we're not seeing what's really happening. They're keeping us blind so we don't panic, which probably ultimately is a good thing. But just understand that you're being controlled, and you better be doing something about it. How much gas do you have? Do you even have gas cans? Do you have any spare gas in your house? Do you have just some of the basics? Are all of your investments on autopilot? Do you know anything about the person who's controlling your finances? How far up their ass is their head in regards to all this stuff? Are they, again, I had this in another video. Go ask your financial advisor right now, and you will find out what kind of financial advisor you have. And this is probably the biggest, I doubt anybody's probably made it this far in the video. Ask your financial advisor, should I be worried? And if their answer is no, fire them right then and there. Now, if you have a financial advisor who says, yeah, you should panic and sell everything, well, fire them too. Their answer should be, yes, you should be very concerned, but here's a strategy we can use. Again, a strategy that I just gave you. Let's maybe take some profits, because a lot of people have most of their stuff invested. Not many people keep cash in their investment accounts. In times like this, and I just did this, so I had some Tesla that I actually made some money on. It's my wife's money. I'm the financial advisor, so if my wife wants to ask me if she should be worried, I would answer yes, but we're not going to panic. I sold off some Tesla. This is a high conviction stock for me, but I was positive on it, meaning I had made profit off of it. Not a lot, but enough. I had 100 shares that I've been playing with. It hurt to do it because I really liked the stock, and I was making some really good money off of covered calls and whatnot with it. But you need 100 shares to do that, so I sold 50 shares. That got me the cash to put on the sideline. So as things start to draw down, which I believe they're going to do pretty rapidly, instead of trying to catch a falling knife, I'm going to keep buying in on the way down. I'm trying to walk both sides of a fence here. So in the 2008 collapse, I think I've chronicled this multiple times. I thought it was the end of the world. right? So I sold everything at the worst possible time. Again, if I just had $5,000 and just thrown it at any goddamn stock, yeah, I probably would have made a shit ton of money. That's where my brain is right now. Is like I've got to just start looking out for myself, because obviously my country is not looking out for me. Quite the contrary, they're actually working overtime to make everybody but the elites poor, and to make us work so hard that we can't put our heads up and like ask, hey, what the fuck are you guys doing up here? What the fuck's up with Epstein? What's up with all this bull? I mean, they're grinding us down so that we don't pose a threat to them. We'll be all working so hard. Again, remember after 2008, even if you didn't lose everything, you certainly were probably pretty scared. It probably took you a couple of years to recover. If you panicked at the very bottom, you probably took you a decade, and probably had to, if you were looking to retire, probably added another 4 or 5 years onto your working time to, you worked until 70 instead of 65. Again, I've talked about the suicide rates from the over 60 crowd at that time, skyrocketing. This is serious stuff. Panic. If you were going to panic, you should have panicked at the beginning. I panicked at the beginning. Before all of this happened, I saw this all coming. Honestly, I didn't see him literally going to complete war with Iran, but there were other things happening that I got to cash, and I put some cash on the sideline. So I'm just waiting I'm going to bottom troll, what they call it. I'm pretty convicted on things like Bitcoin, and I'm pretty convicted on things like Tesla. And I think Tesla is due for a huge drop, along with the rest of the stock market. It's happening. Futures are down another $300-400 today. And this was pretty rambling, but the moral of the story is be ready. Things are happening. Again, what's happening in Iran is a feature, not a flaw, not a bug. They had to have known that this would be the chaos that would unfold. There was a huge private credit equity blow up literally 4 or 5 days before we invaded on that Saturday. That whole week leading into the invasion, the markets were already tanking, and they were going to continue to tank. So 2 birds, 1 stone. They get to go after Iran, which is something they want to do anyways. They get to cover up the fact that the markets were going to fall apart anyways. Now they get to blame it on, hey, we had to do what we had to do. They were getting ready to attack us. But whatever bullshit they got to tell themselves, whatever lie they got to tell to whatever segment believes it. It was planned. They knew that Iran would close the Straits of Hormuz, maybe not to the extent that they've already done. I think they've underestimated, certainly, the capabilities of Iran. But they had to have known that this was going to cause absolute chaos across the whole world. Maybe just not to the extent it has, and that to the extent I believe it's going to continue. Because by now, they're already signaling they want an off-ramp, even as, again, that they're ramping shit up. But if I'm reading the tea leaves right, Iran is not going to relent this time. They have said over and over again that they do not want war with the United States. They want war with Israel. And they're pissed at us when they say death to America. That's because we're supporting Israel. Again, always Israel causing all of our shit. I would just say pull the plug. Let frickin' Israel fight this war and see how the hell it goes. It's not going very well for them. The censors in Israel are making sure you're not seeing in the mainstream media, because again, they own CBS. They own, Israel through the U.S. citizens who are of Israeli. They have dual citizenship. They're censoring what's happening in places like Tel Aviv and all these different cities throughout Israel. But they're getting hit pretty hard. Again, not nearly as hard as they can hit Iran. But again, Iran doesn't care. We know this. The Iranian mullahs will sacrifice their population, their civilian population, if it means that they get to stay in power. Israel, not so much. People are emptying out of Israel. The young, they don't want to fight this war. They're leaving if they can. The ones who have been called up, they're seeing something like a 20 to 23% AWOL when they're calling people up. They're having a really hard time when they do these call-ups of having people show up. Israel is technically a free country. They're not really, but they're freer, obviously, than Iran. I mean, if you're an Iranian, where the fuck are you going to go? There still is a government there. There still is functioning military. They're keeping order in their country, probably through a lot of force, and again, through a lot of propaganda and whatnot. But if this turns into a war of attrition, I put my money on Iran, because we've already proven we can carpet bomb Tehran into the ground. Then what? Okay, where's the next target? I mean, you at some point you're gonna have to put boots on the ground, and man, if we go that route, whole new world. Let's just hope that Trump's insanity doesn't go that deep. That the feature that they're building is air war. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm just keeping my head down. I'm going out into the woods every day and enjoying what I've got out there, and got my hunting license together, and gonna start practicing with my new bow here shortly, and probably get a new rifle, hunt some elk, start making my life smaller. I think that's really the only option a lot of us are going to have if you made mistakes like I did. I got myself into too much debt. I'm not financially free. It's my own fault. Had a lot of great times, have a lot of great memories, so maybe that's worth it. We might need some of that in the coming years and decades, is something to hold on to. And I've had a lot of great memories with my wife and my kids, and I don't regret those memories, but I do sit here at this point right now wishing I had a lot more money that I could just disconnect from all this shit. But it's water under the bridge. Still got to go to work. Here I am in El Paso, heading to work. Have to keep doing it, and we'll see where all this goes. I hope I'm wrong, as always. I hate seeing this stuff coming out so far out, but anyways, I'm going to end it here. I'm already at 32 minutes, so yep, we'll talk to you later. We'll see if this one works, and we'll talk to you soon. And I'm posting this on Thursday. If you know what the date is, so talk to you later.